Welcome back to the show. Well, if you saw the NBA Finals post-game, you might have noticed that Series MVP Andre Iguodala thanked the NBA chaplains for all they do. Well, it's a behind-the-scenes job, but it requires a lot of dedication. Recently, we got the chance to catch up with a chaplain in the league whose personal story has helped him with the pros. They say life is more about the journey than the destination. Kevin Valentine's journey to becoming an NBA chaplain didn't come without a great price.
Started playing golf in high school. I had two buddies of mine that talked me into trying out for the high school team. And literally to shut them up, I decided I'll go try out, sure. In college, when I started winning tournaments, I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is what I'm good at. I want to be on the PGA Tour. So along about the same time, my sophomore year at college, God started getting a hold of my life. Within that, I started volunteering at the church with students. And I just remember afterwards, God just saying, this is what I want you to do with your life. And so right out of college, started into ministry. December of 1997, I'm at a Christmas party with the youth group. And after the Christmas party, there's one kid that's just there for an hour after we're done. Can't get a hold of his mom. There's no cell phones or anything, so we're calling his house. We don't know what's going on. Finally, she comes walking up. And so she comes to the door of the church and she just says, I got a flat tire down the road and I'm just gonna call AAA. Well, I wanna get home. Like, it's been an hour. And so I'm like, hey, I'll change your tire. We don't need to call AAA, it'll take them an hour to get here anyway. So I'll just change your tire, it's 10 minutes, we'll get you out of here and go. So I walk back to the back of the van and start lowering the spare. Last thing I remember, my wife and this doctor are talking over my bed about somebody who'd lost their leg. And so I'm listening to them talk. A girl going about 50 miles an hour was changing radio stations and just kind of swerved a little bit and ran into the back of the minivan going 50 miles an hour, never hitting the brakes. And I start feeling sorry for this guy. Finally, I stopped their conversation and I'm just like, hey, are you guys talking about me? It's like there's nothing at the end of my bed on the left side. My wife is now crying because I'm awake, like I'm back, because they didn't know if I had a brain injury or not. They needed to wait for me to wake up. You know, you're an athlete, you're planning on being an athlete, and all of a sudden you realize that will probably never happen.
It was during rehab that Kevin got the first look at the full extent of his injuries.
I'd never seen any of my injuries without the bandages on, and I just wept. Like, there's still some of the bitterest tears I've ever cried because I just alone for the first time and just feeling, you know, almost dead inside as I'm looking at just the damage to my body. And that's the first time I got mad at God. How could you do this to me? I do exactly what you want me to do with my life. I give up my dreams for your dreams. I'm helping people every day. And this is what you give me. You know, I just thought he left me. And then I realized it's like this flood all at the same time just goes, he never left, he never walked away. And he just told me everything was gonna be okay. And have not been angry about it since. Like, it was just kind of like that was a real healing moment for me to the point where I really did believe that everything was gonna be okay. I ended up getting a leg 4 months after the accident. I got my first prosthetic leg and started learning to walk again. And then started going out to the golf course. And then once I realized that I could kind of do it, it just kind of fueled this whole idea of going, I want to get back to playing competitive golf again. 3 or 4 years later, I entered into the Michigan Amateur for the first time since the accident, and was probably one of the first amputees to ever even try and qualify. And then ever since then, I've been competing every year.
As he competed, he would eventually become the #1 amputee golfer in the world.
Since I've been the chaplain for the Orlando Magic, golf has really opened doors up because once you get out and play with these guys who are, you know, top athletes, and they see that your skill level is most of the time beyond where theirs is in a sport, it's instant credibility because I can do something that they can't do. And they're pretty much used to being able to be the best at everything they do because they're professional athletes. So that really gives me an easy road in from understanding them and relating to them on an athletic level.
Always looking forward, Kevin decided to pursue a master's degree. He chose Liberty University.
Once I found out that Liberty had an online program and that I could actually get my master's over the course of, you know, a number of years without having to necessarily go there because I was in the middle of ministry and had young kids, I'm just like, no brainer, let's do it. going to Liberty made my understanding of Scripture stronger, and really made the knowledge that I had built up over the years in ministry, made it deeper. That's it.
He was such a great guy to talk with and hear his story. But I asked him about being an NBA chaplain, how he got into that. And he said it was being friends with the guy who was a chaplain for an NFL team. And he said he didn't even know anything about the NBA, but he's realized it's about the ministry more and just ministering to those guys and knowing the game so well.
Incredible how guys can use the game of golf and really work that into a great way for him to minister to athletes, get out on the course, away from the court and what they do in basketball, and use that as an avenue to minister to them. Really cool.